Okay, this is how Aiden Watson feels, okay? But unless it's unsafe, then this conversation never happened and I never suggested it to you. How do you get out of a toxic friendship that you don't want to leave because you'll be all alone? Like, I don't know how to word it. Like, I don't like when there's no hair down there. How the f did that even happen? I had my first kiss and lost my virginity in the same day. So I don't know. I'm trying my best out here, guys. Hi guys, it's Aiden. Welcome back to my channel, or if this is the first video you're seeing of me, hey, nice to meet you. Today is going to be episode 2 of a series that I started a couple weeks ago. I guess it's just called Teen Talk. I basically started this series where you guys basically ask me questions that you're maybe a little uncomfortable to ask other people in your life, whether that's parents or whoever it might be. I really wanted to create a space for myself, but also in general, just on the internet, where we can be comfortable. I open up to you guys and you guys open up to me, and we just have super honest and real conversations in a completely judge-free zone. I just have to say that the response to the first video from the series that I posted seriously meant the world to me. Having so many people, even literal friends of mine, reach out to me and tell me how much they appreciated the video that I was making and how much they were proud of me for creating a really safe space on the internet has meant the world to me. And you guys really liked that video, and that also meant the world to me. So here we are doing another part of this video. I am so excited. It is such a I don't know if you can tell, but it's such a stormy, rainy, cloudy day. I have my blanket here. I'm like curled up. I'm freezing. I literally made a cup of apple cider because it's so cold outside. Also just in my house, but I'm feeling real cozy today. To me, this is like the most perfect setting to film one of these videos because we're just gonna sit and chat and get all comfy and cozy, talk about a bunch of different things and get really personal. So like I said in the first episode, I asked you guys on my Instagram story for you guys to submit any questions that you had. Also, shameless plug, but you should follow my Instagram. Also, if you want to be featured in an upcoming video in the future, I always go to my Instagram story to have you guys ask me questions. So gotta follow me on Instagram. And then the last thing I wanted to say, just like last video and every video going forward, anything that you submit is completely anonymous. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. I'm 18, no first kiss, never had a real relationship, never had anything sexual. Am I behind? Absolutely not. There's such a weird standard and expectation, I feel like, that you need to have done certain things by a certain age. Why that's a thing in society is beyond me. I really couldn't tell you why, but no, you are absolutely not behind in anything. There's no age that exists out there that you need to have done certain things by. I totally understand feeling behind. I totally get that, and I think that's a similar feeling that a lot of people share, but everybody's different. I think it's so important that, you know, regardless of whatever age you do it, I think the most important thing is that you just wait until you feel comfortable with it, and that's for anything, whether that's kissing or having sex for the first time. Do it whenever you feel comfortable, and if you don't feel comfortable until you're literally 25 years old, that's totally fine, and that's not something that I think we should shame people for. And it's also like, not only do some people not feel comfortable with it, some people aren't even given the opportunity to experiment with things or even try things out with people until they're older. I think a lot of the time, especially when it comes to being gay, your choices are a lot more limited, and so a lot of the time I feel like it can leave you feeling super behind because all of your friends who are maybe, for example, if you're a guy, maybe a lot of your friends are girls and they're getting into relationships and they're having their first kiss and they're having sex for the first time. It can leave you feeling really behind. I totally understand that, but again, it all just circles back to what you feel comfortable with. Comfortability is a big thing, but also some people just don't get the chance to do that with people. But it's nothing against you, and I don't want anyone out there to take it personally or put themselves in certain situations that they don't want to be in just because they feel like they should be in those situations, if that makes any sense. How to shave down there, like literally what razor? This is my opinion. Okay, this is how Aiden Watson feels, okay? I don't like shaving down there. I think it's really uncomfortable for me. Not only is it uncomfortable for me, but also when it grows back, it's literally like the most uncomfortable situation, and I don't understand why anybody wants to put themselves through that. And also, again, this is just personal preference. If you feel differently, that's totally fine. But whenever I'm doing anything with a guy, like sexually speaking, I don't like when there's no hair down there. And I mean that because when there's no hair, again, my personal preference, okay? But when I'm doing stuff with someone and they are like shaved down there, it's like scratchy and uncomfortable for me, and I don't like that, and it's not my thing. And I do think there's a difference between like keeping your own personal area clean and tamed, and I don't think tame's the right word. That sounds like a lion. You're taming a lion. Well, you know, you can be hygienic and keep it maintained down there, but you don't have to fully get rid of all of it unless you want to, and that's totally fine. The few times that I have, I personally don't like shaving it. It's too much work for me, and honestly, I don't got time for that. I don't want to be doing it to begin with. But the few times that I have done it, I do recommend getting some sort of, I don't even know what they're called. If you go on Amazon and literally search up like hair removal cream, there's like Nair, I think that's like a big brand, but there's also one specifically made for men that was one I got one time. It's literally, I don't scientifically, honest to God, I don't know if this is like safe for you, and I don't know if you should be doing this all the time, but it's worked for me, so I'm not suggesting it, but I am saying there's this option out there on the table for you. There are literal, like, it's like a lotion that you just put on down there. You wait like 10 minutes and then you wipe it off and the hair literally like melts off your body. It's so weird. Again, I don't know if it's like safe or really if you should be doing it, but that was something that I did for a while and it really worked. So that is another option. Honestly, I guess I do kind of suggest it, but unless it's unsafe, then this conversation never happened and I never suggested it to you. I don't want to be liable for that. Whoa. How to not feel ashamed doing anything sexual. I think we might have touched on this a little bit in the last video that I made. I don't know. There's such a weird stigma around like having sex and doing anything sexual. I don't really understand why, because it's like everybody does it. Not everybody, but most people are having sex and doing stuff. So I don't know why it's so weird. I never really felt ashamed to do it. I guess I felt more ashamed to talk about it with people or to even express that I had done stuff before. But I will say, like, obviously I'm at a point now where I don't really care, which is why I'm filming this video. And I also like doing this series because I hope that I can help other people not feel ashamed to do stuff and not really feel like it's this taboo thing going on. I don't really have advice on how to not feel ashamed per se. I guess I would just always tell myself like, this is so normal. I guess another thing that has helped me too is like, I have a lot of friends who are my age who I can talk about this stuff with. And that's, I guess, what helps me not feel totally ashamed about it, which you shouldn't feel ashamed at all. But I guess being able to like talk about it openly with my friends, I guess that's something that I would suggest just because it makes you feel less, I don't know, weird doing it. Because the first couple times I ever did anything sexually, I felt so gross after doing it. I felt nasty. I felt like a bad person. I felt like I was doing something wrong, which is so sad. And I know that's how so many other people feel too. Find a group of people that you feel comfortable talking about stuff with. And I think that's a way you can feel a little more comfortable in doing stuff. I'm in my late 20s and I wish there was someone like you making these videos when I was a teenager. Obviously, I know this isn't a question, but I just wanted to put this in this video because I thought it was super, super sweet. I know I talked about this earlier in the video, but doing this series has been so much. This is literally only the second video I filmed for it, but it's been so much fun. It's been really good for me too to talk about this stuff. I got comments on the last video, people being like, whoa, I never expected you to be like a person that does stuff like that. Not even in like a bad way, but people were just kind of surprised, which I totally understand. I'm fully aware of how my like public image looks. Most people kind of just look at me and think I'm the super innocent, like sweet little guy, which like I am. That's the thing. But like all I really do is talk about Taylor Swift and Disneyland, and like I'm sitting here with my fucking Snoopy blanket. Like that's who I am. But also, you know, I'm an adult. I'm 19. I'm turning 20 and I'm doing normal things that people my age are doing. I'm being safe. I'm being smart. I also have a platform, and why would I not want to use that in a good way? You know what I mean? But I appreciate the person saying this. That means so much to me. Thank you so much. Should I wait for the right guy to lose my virginity or hook up with a random guy? Up to you. Totally up to you. Again, I will say this to my fucking grave, but please just be comfortable in doing it and be smart and be safe. Losing your virginity is a big thing, and I'm not going to take that away from people or act like it's not a big thing, but it doesn't need to be like, oh, I need to find the perfect person, or you don't even need to be dating the person. Like it's literally just whatever you want and whatever you feel comfortable with. And if that person happens to be someone you get into a relationship with, or it happens to be a random hookup, it's totally up to you. There's no right or wrong way to go about losing your virginity. So yeah, totally up to you. Just please be smart, please be safe. Just make sure you're comfortable with it. How could I know that I'm not 100% straight? I'm really struggling with my sexuality. I don't know if this is going to sound cliche, but I think the first thing is just allow yourself to be whoever you want to be and be okay with that. It's your life. You are allowed to do whatever you want, be with whoever you want, kiss whoever you want, date whoever you want, marry whoever you want. Nobody is allowed to take that away from you. People might have opinions and lots of things to say, but at the end of the day, it's you, it's your life. You're allowed to do with whatever you want. And I say that to preface because I think a lot of the time when it comes to figuring out your sexuality, that can become halted because it's not exactly what you maybe envisioned your life to be, or for it to be the way you turn out. But you have to be okay with that, and you have to accept the fact that there is a chance, even if you really think like you are the straightest person that has ever walked this, like even if you think you're as straight as this fucking ruler, you have to like, not that you have to, but I really like just accept the fact that there is a chance out there that you could be into the same gender. I'm saying this too, where, you know, obviously I say that I'm gay, but like I don't think this will ever happen. But if in some universe, if there is ever a world where I happen to fall in love with a woman, I need to let myself do that, and I need to let myself be that person, even if it completely goes against everything that I've learned about myself in the last 19 years. I'm okay with that. Again, I'm not like we know that's probably not going to happen, but just accept the fact that that is a possibility. And then the only other thing I'm going to say is you never know till you try. Guys, this apple cider is so good. It's hitting today. Oh my god. It's also pouring rain. I don't think you can tell, whatever. How do you avoid negativity online? DM, comment, Twitter. This is a great question actually, because sometimes I also wonder this myself. I am so thankful and so lucky that literally, I'm not kidding, like 99.5% of comments that I receive, whether it's on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or even DMs that I get, are so incredibly nice. I feel genuinely like the luckiest person in the world because the internet can be really, really fucking scary and mean. Not only the fact that I built up an audience of people that are super kind and super genuine and super sweet, but also that I attract people who maybe don't follow me, but I somehow attract other people that are also kind and genuinely nice people. It means the world to me because I'm really fucking sensitive. Again, to have this space that is just full of other really super sweet and kind people, like, means the world to me. I love you guys. I appreciate you so much. In terms of how I avoid it, I genuinely like don't know. Like, the thing with being on social media is there's not really a way to like control who sees you. Obviously, you know, you attract certain people, but I don't know. This is gonna sound so cliche because it's like literally shut the fuck up. Like, what are you talking about? I don't know. I'm not saying this as advice because like, I don't really know. I'm being myself. I'm being just who I am as a person. As I've gotten older, it's become clearer than ever to me, especially recently, but I genuinely am just like a really nice and kind person, and I want nothing but the best for people. I look at everybody in my life, or people not even in my life also, with so much compassion and so much empathy, and I think somehow the universe just sends people like that right back to me, and I'm so grateful for that. Which is not to say that if you are getting hate online, that like you deserve that because that's what you're putting out into the world. That's not at all what I'm saying. But I don't know. I don't really have advice on this. I apologize. In this question specifically, they mentioned Twitter, and I think for me is I don't look on Twitter because honestly, there could be very well like a bunch of hate tweets out there about me, and I wouldn't know because I don't engage on there. So what are some tips you have for doing it for the first time or just doing it in general? By the way, love you. I love you too. Tips for the first time. Trying to think. Okay, we're gonna get like super fucking personal really quick. See, okay, I love doing this series, but I do still get like a little bit uncomfortable talking about this stuff, but that's okay. I don't need to talk about anything that I don't want to talk about. I think a really good way for you to realize what you like and to figure out what you like and, you know, to better use that when you're having is masturbating. I really hate talking about this, but I really do recommend it because experimenting with yourself, in my opinion, I think is one of the best ways for you to really get to realize what you like and what feels good to you. I think a lot of the times, like when you're having sex, it's hard because you think it's really simple and you think it's like, you know, you just do it. But a lot of the time, like some people like certain things and some people it feels better if you do this or it makes them feel better if you do that. I think the best way to figure that out is for you to just experiment with yourself. So that way, when you do experiment with yourself, you can take that knowledge, I don't fucking know, but you can take that newfound knowledge and apply that to when you're actually having sex with someone. I think that's super important, and I also think it's like super good. Because I've been in certain situations where I'm literally like having sex with somebody. I literally don't know what to do to make them feel better. Like you think, obviously, you know, when you think about sex, like you think there's just one thing you do and whatever, you know what I mean? But a lot of the time, some people like when you know, do certain things while you do certain other things. Like there's so much to it. I've also found too that guys really like when I tell them what to do. This like, see, I'm getting uncomfortable, but like, I don't know, like I'm really uncomfortable. Like, I don't know how to word it. Like, I don't know. They like hearing, that's a better way to word it. They like hearing what they can do. They like when I tell them what I like, because then they can do that and then it'll make me feel better. And it makes them feel better when they're making me feel better. Does that make sense? Did I word that in a way that's not really like fucking awkward? Does that make sense? I don't know. I'm trying my best out here, guys. Like, what do you do when you feel like everyone around you secretly hates you? How the f did that even happen? Like, literally, what the f? Anyway, Jesus f***ing Christ. What do I do when I feel like everybody hates me? I'm very thankful that this is not something that I have to struggle with anymore, but it was for a while, I will say. There was a period in my life where I really did feel like everybody fucking hated me. Every single person. I felt like all my friends liked me for an ulterior motive, or they didn't actually like me, they were just tolerating me. I'm not exactly sure how I got over that. I think obviously this is going to sound stupid and cliche, but you have to surround yourself with people that you like to be around. There's no point in valuing other people's opinions if you don't actually like them as a person. I don't know. I hate saying this because it's not really helpful and there's nothing you can do about it, but I do think it is something that just comes with age. And it also comes with like becoming more confident in yourself. I think that was probably the biggest thing for me, is I just became more confident in who I am as a person. And so it got to the point where I just didn't really care if people didn't like me anymore. Whereas in the past, like I used to literally like hold on to that ship with my fucking white knuckle dying grip. I used to hold on so tightly, and I was so desperate for people to like me, which, like, who cares? Like, if somebody doesn't like you, like, it's their loss. They can't see the type of person that you are, and that's fine. Even if that person happens to be your best friend as you get older, if that person doesn't realize that who you are as a person is a great person and you're a great friend, then that's their loss, not yours. How long should you wait / did you wait to do it when you were in a healthy relationship? Love you. I love you too. Again, kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, there's not really a right time to do it. When you both feel comfortable in doing it, to me, that's like the perfect time to do it. Personally, so here's the thing is I personally had my first kiss and lost my virginity in the same day. So I personally didn't wait. Now, do I regret it? Not really. I was comfortable with doing it. It wasn't anything like that. It was with somebody that I said this in the last video, but I really don't like talking about this because I don't even count the fact that I really dated this person. But I had been dating this person for like 2 months. It was like long distance, so I don't even really, not that I don't count it, because obviously long distance it's a thing people do. I ended up doing it again. I will not be doing it ever again, just might I add. But I mean, this person saying it is saying that they're in a healthy relationship. So if you both feel comfortable with doing it, then I'm all for it. I also think it's okay, and I do want to say this, that it's totally okay if you do it for the first time and then you realize after doing it that you need a little more time and that you need to wait. That's totally fine too. Just because you started doesn't mean it needs to become a consistent thing. You are totally fine with doing it, and then literally if you want to wait like another year or 2 years, like that's totally fine. But yeah, just make sure you're comfortable, make sure you're safe and not doing anything crazy. And yeah, how do you get out of a toxic friendship that you don't want to leave because you'll be all alone? Ooh, okay. So I do understand this. I actually understand this a lot. This is kind of how I felt when I was in my freshman year of high school. I was friends with someone, and then they had a lot of friends, but I didn't really like their other friends. I only really just liked my friend. And then it was a whole thing, and I felt myself distancing from that friend because of all their other friends. Please do not take a shot every time I've said friend. Jesus Christ. You'll be drunk. Did I even explain that right? I don't know what I'm saying. My point is that I do understand this. Again, I know this is easier said than done, but you really have to evaluate if this toxic friendship is worth being this placeholder of a friend, even if it's not a genuine, real good friendship. Is that really worth just not having anybody? For me personally, like, I would rather just not have anybody in my life rather than to have people that are toxic in my life. Again, I know that's easier said than done, especially, you know, this person, they didn't specify, but I can imagine they've probably been friends for a little bit. I don't know. It's so much easier said than done, and I can sit here and say just get rid of them, or I can sit here and say, you know, you're better without toxic people. But when you're in that position, like, it's hard to realize that and get out of it. I guess the only thing that I'll say is that being alone it's hard. Trust me, I was alone like I feel like I've been alone my entire life. Like, especially in high school, I didn't have literally any friends. I only got friends in my senior year, and that was literally one friend. Shout out Carissa. I always talk about her because she's the only friend I had in high school. Also my friend Rachel, but we had been friends since like in second grade. So shout out to Carissa and Rachel. I love them so much. They were literally my only friends in high school. And even though they were my only friends, like, I didn't see them all the time. Like, I had one class with one of them, and then the other one I never saw. So I totally understand that being alone can seem scary and feel scary, but I just want to say that being alone it's not always as scary as it seems, and it's not always this really daunting and sad thing. Honestly, one of the reasons that I think I'm so strong-minded and like mentally strong now is because I spent so many years being alone and by myself that now when I make friends, and I'm actively making friends right now, I'm not so dependent on them anymore. I've been alone for so long, and I literally never hung out with anybody ever. And so now when I do hang out with people, I love it, and it's so much fun. And honestly, like, every new time I hang out with a friend, it heals like a little part of myself, because there still is that part of me that's like that 15-year-old Aiden inside of me that was so desperate to like have a friend to hang out with after school, and so desperately just wanted someone to hang out with. And so now when I hang out with friends again, like, it does heal a part of me, but it's not something that I need, and it's not something that I'm so dependent on. So yeah, obviously I'm gonna suggest that you get rid of this friend if they're being toxic. I know it's easier said than done, but being alone isn't, you know, it's not the worst thing, and it's not as scary as it seems. It can be very daunting and overwhelming, the idea of being alone, but it's also like, it's not like you're gonna be alone forever. Like, you will meet new people, and you'll find your crowd and see you for who you really are and treat you in the way that you deserve to be treated. So I wish you all the best. Is it weird when you get older when you don't feel like celebrating your birthday anymore? Well, I'm gonna say no, but that's just how I feel. Maybe other people feel differently, but I think it's also interesting because there is a shift when you get older on how your birthday, I guess, kind of is. Everyone's situation is different, so maybe you don't have a similar story to mine. But when I was younger, I was so excited for my birthday. Like, it was something I look forward to so much every single year. Honestly, mainly just because I got to go to Disneyland on my birthday every year. But yeah, I don't know. I loved my birthday and it was so much fun and I looked forward to it. As I got older, I didn't feel that way anymore. I will say the past couple birthdays I've had have been pretty rough. The past couple years, I've been going through a lot and I really was really depressed. And my birthday just felt like, it just made me feel stuck. I just felt like I was getting older, but I was mentally just getting so much worse. And it felt like every birthday from like, honestly, like start of 14 years old up until honestly 19, I felt like every birthday moving forward, I was just getting progressively so much more depressed. And not to get super dark, but like, I just felt like every birthday I was getting closer to not celebrating my next birthday. I don't feel that way anymore, thank God. It was really dark for a while and it made me really resent my birthday. But regardless of, my own personal mental health struggles, I do think that's kind of a common thing with a lot of people. As you get older, your birthday does just kind of become like, whatever. I encourage you to celebrate your birthday and I encourage you to make it a fun day for yourself. It is hard though when you're not super young and you don't have that enthusiasm from family anymore. Your birthday doesn't become this huge celebration anymore. You're kind of left to do that for yourself, which kind of feels weird to like, I'm not saying that if you do this for yourself that you're selfish. At least for me, I always felt like everyone else was always celebrating my birthday. And then when I got older, I was expected to do that. Not expected to do that for myself, but I didn't have family that was going to do it for me anymore. And so you kind of feel like you have to do it for yourself. But then it's like, I'm not gonna like throw myself a birthday party. Like, that feels weird. Again, that's just me. But yeah, no, I think this is a normal feeling for a lot of people for sure. So I did get a lot of responses from people basically just asking how you meet guys, especially being gay. Like, how do you meet other gay guys kind of in your area? This is a whole conversation and a whole story that I feel like I could talk about in another video that I've been trying to outline a video like this, but it is hard. I will say, first of all, it's really hard to meet other guys. Ow! Fuck, I just dropped my fucking phone on my foot. Jesus. Kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, I think a lot of the time when you are gay, it can really feel like you're left behind. Because a lot of us, like, we didn't have that luxury of meeting guys in school. Like, that wasn't really an option for some. I know some people that's the case, but for a lot of us, like, that wasn't, for me, that was not an option, But I also, like, I didn't talk to anybody at my school, so. And it's weird because, like, every single person, I will say, like, upon reflecting, like, every single person that I've met, dated, hooked up with, has been through the internet. So do with that what you will, which is totally fine. I think we obviously live, it's 2025. Everything is on the internet. Also, like, all my friends, not even just like hookups or people that I've dated, like pretty much all my friends too, I've met on the internet. So don't feel ashamed if that's how you meet a lot of people. And honestly, like, from my experience, that's the only thing I can really suggest. I've met people, I think almost honest to God, every single person that I've met has been through Instagram, which is really weird. I don't know. I met a couple of people through dating apps, so maybe I'll suggest that. Yo, honestly, if a dating app wants to sponsor me, Hinge, if you want to sponsor me, my emails are open. Or my DMs, either one. Yeah, I think dating apps are scary, but I do think they're good. That's so fucking weird that like every guy I've met has been through Instagram. I don't know how I feel about that actually upon reflecting. That's kind of like really, it's not weird again, but it's much to think about. When I was younger, everyone told me I was gay, but I just started realizing now and I feel horrible. This makes me so sad, and this is actually something that I talked about in the last episode where people always ask me about my coming out story, which I actually am outlining a video for, so stay tuned for that. But people have always asked me how coming out was, what did my family say, what did my friends say, and I said this in the last video, but I don't have this like crazy story for it because I felt like every single person in my life knew before I did, and like this person was saying, I totally get that feeling because it made me feel honestly horrible and I hated it. It made me suppress those emotions for the longest time because I didn't want to prove everybody right. And then when I did realize that I actually was gay, I felt like not a failure, but I just felt like I was giving into everybody's expectations, and that really pissed me off for some reason. So I totally understand this. I don't know. It's really annoying that people feel the need to comment on other people's sexualities. People were literally telling me that I was gay from like kindergarten, which like is so fucking whack to me. Like, I don't know why that's like a thing that happens, and I'm sure that's still happening to this day. I'm trying to think of advice and how I personally kind of got over it. I don't know. I think it was just a thing with time that it still annoys me honestly to this day that I kind of had to deal with that. Figuring out your sexuality is already kind of annoying and really an identity crisis type situation. It's hard enough as it is, let alone having other people's opinions for it. Yeah, I don't know. I unfortunately don't think I have advice. I think it was just something that with time I have kind of just grown indifferent different about. I also hope that happens with anybody who's watching this that might feel the same way. Yeah, I don't know. I feel bad. I hate that this is happening, and I also hate that I don't have advice on, you know, how to make it go away. I'm sorry. Tips for how to get through high school, parentheses, hell, love your videos so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Oh my god, I just got so congested all of a sudden. High school for me was hell. There's not really another word I can use for it. It was horrible for me. I had the worst time. I didn't really do that well in school. And also, like I've said, I literally had no fucking friends. So that was hard. I said this in the last video when somebody asked for advice on middle school, and I'm gonna apply the same thing just because it's not even just for these things. I think this is like a universal thing that I suggest to people. It's gonna sound cliche. I know, I'm sorry. But it really is just be a good person and be a kind person. In high school, it gets really weird because you're all turning into adults. It's a whole different game than middle school. It's completely different. If anything, it's probably a lot harder in high school because of the fact that everybody around you and you yourself are all turning into adults. And so you're doing adult things and experimenting with your life and trying different things. It can be really alienating and really difficult to navigate your way through all that stuff. And again, I said this in the last video, so if you watched that video, I'm sorry I sound like a broken record, but being kind is like the number one thing I just suggest, and being a nice person. At the end of the day, you're gonna have a lot of people probably saying a lot of different things about you, and a lot of those things probably are not gonna be true, and they're not gonna be the nicest of things. But at the end of the day, when you go home and you look in that mirror, or when you lay down in your bed at the end of the day, that is who you are as a person. And the only thing that really kept me mentally sane was the fact that despite what people would say, this is mainly in middle school because nobody really had that much to say about me in high school because I didn't do anything, but was the fact that I knew that I was a good person and that I was a nice person. Regardless of whether other people saw that, I knew that's who I was, and so other people's opinions didn't hold that much weight to me because I knew who I was, and it didn't matter what anybody else said. Also, I just think being kind and nice gets you so far in life, and I think if you're not, then karma's gonna get your ass. Yeah, this is probably really stupid advice to a lot of people, but that's like the only thing I can suggest. It's hard for me too because like I didn't really deal with that much in high school. I dealt with a lot in high school, but I didn't really deal with like friends and drama and all that stuff. I was dealing more psychologically with a lot of different things. So I don't really have a lot of advice on that, which I apologize for. Just be kind. I promise it'll get you so far in life, and it'll really make you feel so much better. And again, being kind really does get you far in life. With BPD, how do I stop self-sabotaging and have more constant relationships in my life? Really great. Wow. You would think with the amount of YouTube videos that I filmed, I would get better at like talking. It's just not happening. It's cool. Having BPD period is like so difficult and so challenging, and there's so many layers to it, but adding on relationships, whether that's romantically or friendships, trust me, I'm aware how crazy it can be. In terms of self-sabotaging, I'm going to actually share something. Oh, I think I actually have it. Okay. I'm going to share something that I used to do when I was in my last relationship, specifically I did this thing and I'm not proud of it. This is me owning up to it. I really struggled with being long distance with my at the time boyfriend. It was a really hard thing for me. One, because I just wanted to see him all the time, and I really like physical affection. This is also why I said I will literally never do long distance ever again. It's not happening. I just like physical affection. I don't really like to fall asleep on the phone. Like I want to be in your bed, not through your fucking screen. And so having BPD and being in a long distance relationship, the amount of times that I would go absolutely fucking batshit crazy, I didn't know what he was doing all the time, and oh my god, I'm so glad this era of my life is over. But the amount of times that I would just sit in my home, or even at work, I would literally do this when I would be at work. I would literally just sit and watch his location move around places, and I would build up the craziest fucking scenarios in my head. And I wouldn't I do want to make it clear, I wouldn't act on it and accuse him of things. That's where having BPD, it can get kind of hard because you can make up certain situations in your head and then blame that person and be like, well, you were doing this when you don't actually. It's just something you made up in your head. So I wouldn't blame him for it, but it would drive me psychologically to the fucking, oh my god, it was so bad. And so I would watch his location move from places. And I remember there was one night specifically, which I'm going to show you an exercise that I did that my therapist taught me. But there was one night specifically where I saw that he was at somebody's house, and he didn't tell me beforehand that he was going to this person's house. And so when I checked his location and I saw that he was at some random house that I didn't know, I went fucking bat. Oh my god, I made a full thing in my head. I was like, he's absolutely cheating on me. Well, that's not a can of worms I want to open today, but I remember thinking he's literally cheating on me. He's literally sleeping with a guy right now. They're probably kissing. They're probably literally making out as I'm sitting here at work on my break. They're probably making out right now. Realistically, that wasn't happening, and I ended up finding out that that wasn't happening. But I remember literally I didn't know what to do with myself. I thought I was going crazy. So what I did, and this is actually something that I'm going to suggest to some of you, especially if you have BPD, I think this was actually something that was really helpful for me. I used to do this thing, and you're going to see that I literally just did this in my notes app, where you basically write down your thoughts, your fears, the signs that point to your fears, and then reminders. So for example, like I said, my thought was he's at somebody's house. It wasn't even a thought, that's what was happening. But the thought was he was at somebody's house. And then I listed my fears. I listed literally every single possible thing that I could think of that he was doing. So I put like, he's with a guy, he's literally laying in his arms, he's cuddling with a guy, they're kissing, they're laying in his bed, all of these different things. I know this sounds crazy because there was no evidence that points to this, but we're going to talk about that in a second. And then I put signs that point to this. And this is a lot of the time why I like this exercise, because this is where it really gets my head to be like, okay, let's think a little rationally here. The only thing, the literal only thing that I could think of that this to try to rationalize these unrational ideas of, you know, him cheating on me, the only thing I could think of was the fact that it was late at night and he hadn't told me beforehand. Now, obviously you can make your own assumptions and you can still say, well, you know, I don't know what they're doing. He didn't tell me about it. And that's totally fine. Realistically, when I look at this notes app and I see all of the fears that I have so many fears, and then I see the signs that point to those fears, and there's literally only 2 different things, whereas there's like 20 different fears that I have. It does put my brain a little bit back in reality, because I'm like, okay, there's a lot of fears going on in my head, and that's totally fine and valid. But the actual probability of those fears coming true based on the signs that are pointing to it, it's not as likely. And then the last thing that I wrote at the very bottom were reminders to myself. I'm not going to read some of these because they are a little bit personal. They are basically reminders that I needed to write to myself in this exact moment to remind myself how much he loves me and all of the things that, you know, pointed to him loving me. And so I basically just wrote things down like, we have a trip planned in a couple weeks. We keep talking about it. He was actively texting me, even being at this person's house. Did apologize the fact that he didn't tell me beforehand that he was going to this person's house. He told me that his friend invited him over to do a group project. He told me it was a girl. Just because he's hanging out with someone late doesn't automatically mean that it's a guy. You cannot get mad at him, even indirectly. It's not fair to him. He hasn't done anything. If you continue to get upset or let this hurt you, he will eventually get tired of it. Everything's okay. It's just your BPD telling you this because it wants to protect you. You've been extremely hurt before and you are now super sensitive and fragile. It's okay. You're okay. And honestly, that genuinely did help me that night. I remember writing this out and I did feel a release. I felt like, okay. It still was hard for me, and it's still, I was upset that I wasn't kind of given a warning ahead of time over the fact that he was going over to somebody's house, but we talked it out. I wrote down this thing and I ultimately did feel better. I do hope that that is maybe something that somebody out there can maybe implement or try doing next time you're having some of those thoughts that are maybe a little similar to mine at the time. I don't know if that's helpful to people or if anybody will even take that and implement that, especially, oh my God, if you have BPD, I really do recommend doing something like that. So I do think that is where I'm going to end this episode of Teen Talk. This is so cute. Like, I have a little series. I'm like, thanks for watching this episode of Teen Talk. I actually had a lot of fun filming this video. Super cozy, super chill, still pouring outside, so that's fun. I just started this series and I already love it so much, and it means so much to me, and I will keep saying this in every single episode, but genuinely everybody who sends questions or just little updates about their life, like, it means the world to me. And the fact that you guys trust me enough to share it on the internet, even though it's, you know, I keep it anonymous, but the fact that you guys trust me enough to share this stuff with me, this stuff is really personal and it means the world to me. And I promise to hold all these things and keep it really safe and be very sensitive about it, because I love you guys and I appreciate you so much, and doing videos has helped me heal and grow so much. If I can do that for literally just one person out there, then that'll mean the fucking world to me. So I love you guys so much. Seriously, you guys are my favorite people in the world. I just love you guys so much. Seriously, thank you for all the love and support. I will say that till the day I die. I'll literally put on my grave, like, thank you to everybody who watched my YouTube videos. Like, I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching this video. Yeah, I'd love to do another one soon if you guys would like that. Make sure you guys are following my Instagram so that you know when I do end up doing another video like this. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out a lot, and I will see you guys very soon with another video. Love you so fucking much.